Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. We'll be talking everything Denver sports and beyond. Please like and subscribe if you are a sports fan like me. Let's do this. Welcome into the Sharp Sports YouTube podcast. My name is Andrew Sharp. Well, the Denver Broncos managed to defeat the Carolina Panthers 28-14 in a game that was not nearly as close as the final score would indicate. Broncos had a late turnover that resulted in 7 points for the Carolina Panthers instead of 7 points for the Broncos, or this might have been a runaway 35-7 score as opposed to what appeared to be a closer 28-14. But Denver moves on, takes care of business at home against a very bad Carolina team. Denver moves 5-3 on the season, good enough for 5th in the AFC and a possible wildcard berth in the 2024 NFL playoffs. And it's a good day to be a Bronco fan. Let's talk about it. One reason for the Denver Broncos beating the Carolina Panthers this past Sunday was the improved play of the tight end position for the Denver Broncos. Sunday was National Tight End Day across the league, and it definitely helped the Broncos. Broncos get some tight end production for the first time in ages. And of course, Greg Dulcich, who should be featured on this day and this game, is nowhere to be found. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Tight end numbers for the game. Adam Troutman, 4 targets, 4 catches, 85 yards with a long of 37 and a touchdown. Lucas Kroll, 2 targets, 2 catches, 18 yards. Nate Atkins managing to get out there and get 1 catch for 3 yards. Second-year player. Nate Atkins, that is, out of the University of South Carolina, free agent who made the 50-man roster in 2023. Good to have some depth. Also says a bit about the lack of depth from the 2023 season and the fact that an undrafted tight end could make this roster. But Broncos have been good at finding undrafted players for a long time, most notably Chris Harris from the no-fly zone. Definitely one of the more successful undrafted free agents to be with his team. Rod Smith, however, is still probably the greatest undrafted player that the Broncos have had over their history. Broncos, highest pure production in Fantasy Pros, ranked 38th. 38th in the league, so we're still not even in the top 20 after a game like that. The Ravens, who the Broncos will face next, have 2 tight ends. Mark Andrews, who is ranked 6th currently, and this is just total production, yards, catches, touchdowns, all of it. Mark Andrews is 6th. Isaiah Likely is 9th. So the Ravens have 2. I would kill to have 1 of these guys, which is why I suggested recently that the Broncos should trade for Cleveland tight end David Njoku. Unfortunately, it looks as if the Browns have managed to decide to get their act together, bench Deshaun Watson, and now are winning some games. So I think that may be out of the cards. But another one could be possible as the Jets' season with Aaron Rodgers continues to unravel. Tyler Conklin of the Jets, who's currently 16th. Not crazy, but definitely better than anybody the Broncos have in terms of production. He's 16th overall in the league with a sputtering Jets offense. Maybe offer the Jets a late-round pick. They seem desperate. The Jets seem to make bad decisions on a regular basis from a ownership management point of view. So let's go get somebody. I'm okay with Njoku. I'd be okay with Conklin. But the Broncos, if they really want to make a push this year, I think should add somebody to their roster. Of course, Conklin would be a rental. He's in the 3rd year of a 3-year, $21 million deal. He signed with the Jets in 2022. But I don't know. Throw him a bone. See if they bite. He would be a nice addition. Nice addition to this tight end room. So, Zach Kelberman, who I interact with every once in a while on Twitter, really good writer, says lately that Greg Dulcich is practicing, but he was a healthy scratch for the game. So, I guess he's playing. Or not playing. I'm very confused. Again, I'm going to quote the great Sandy Clough from here in Denver. Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. So basically from this article, Sean Payton is quoted as saying that, oh yeah, we love Greg Dulcich. He's doing a great job. Why is he not on the field? The Broncos, as I've stated before, have the 38th most productive tight end room. So if he's doing everything you say you ask of him and he's making progress, why is he not on the field? He's not hurt. I thought he was hurt. Apparently he's not hurt. But Sean Payton says he's working his tail off. Well, okay. Let's see it. I want to see if Greg Dulcich can contribute to this team, because this team could sure use his help right now. So maybe Greg Dulcich is not capable of that. Maybe he's still dropping too many passes in practice. I have no idea. But the time is now. Either make a move to go get somebody who can bolster this room from 38, or play Greg Dulcich and let's see where he's at. The Carolina Panthers have a bad defense. That's not disputable. That's facts. So Bo Nix put up some pretty good numbers against a bad defense, which some will discredit. But it's still NFL guys. They're all getting paid. It's live game action. This is a regular season game. So take advantage of it. And the Broncos did that. And they let Bo Nix pass the ball more in this game. He finished 28 of 37 with 284 yards. Had he not had a couple of fumbles by his wide receivers and some other guys who were dropping passes in the first half, he could have easily gone over 300 yards. But he finished with 284 yards, took 2 sacks, not great, 3 touchdowns, awesome, and no picks for a quarterback rating of 124.2. So, Bo Nix continuing to develop the theme of this podcast that I have been talking about incessantly. So, Broncos passed the ball a little more this game, but given the situation, I'm okay with it. My point has been, against the good teams, i.e. the Ravens next week and the Chiefs the following week, do not ask Bo to win the game by himself. But against possibly the team with the worst defense in the league, and a team that will probably be drafting in the top 3 of next year's draft, I'm good with Bo Nix essentially getting extended work for this game. Broncos still ran the ball as they had the lead most of the game. As a total, they finished with 32 carries for 102 yards. Javonte Williams is still getting there. He still doesn't look the same as he did pre-injury. Unfortunately, this may be what he is. We'll see. But I do like the fact that he's still leading the team in carries, and the Broncos are effectively still running the ball. Bo Nix ran only 5 times this game for 4 yards, mostly just to scramble to avoid sacks, avoid pressures, which is fine. Again, Bo Nix, 11 players, 11 had a catch in this game. 11, that means he's running the offense. He's not locked onto one guy. He's not focused on one receiving target, which is something rookie quarterbacks are infamous for doing, which makes it very easy for the defense to defend that quarterback because they know where the ball is going. Also leads to more interceptions, which Bo had none. So 11 players had a catch. Again, I love it. Some would argue that that means the Broncos don't have a true number one. I agree. The Broncos don't have an amazing wide receiver. They don't. Cortland Sutton is a very good player. I would like if Cortland Sutton, who is effectively their number one receiver this year. Next year, it's always a good receiver draft. It seems like every year in the draft right now. So go out and get yourself a true stud number one. But Cortland for a year can fill in for that. And if Cortland Sutton is your number 2 receiver on an offense, now we're starting to get somewhere. As I discussed in my opening podcast previewing the Broncos 2024 season, the Broncos have an advantage this year in that their interconference opponents are a division which Sean Payton used to coach. The NFC South, which not only is not very good, but this coach has an intimate knowledge of all of these opponents. The Broncos are now 3-0 against Sean Payton's former division, the NFC South. So AFC wins are more valuable. However, wins are wins as you're continuing to draft and develop, and win along the way with a very young team. People seem to forget this. The Broncos, I believe, are still the 2nd youngest roster in the NFL. This is a very young team. They're building confidence. They've gone to New Orleans and won. They've gone to Tampa Bay and won. And now they've beaten a bad Carolina squad. And let me tell you what, if they had lost this game, oh, I can only imagine. I can only imagine what the naysayers would be saying. So you go out, you take business. Yeah, Carolina's a bad club, but that means you're getting somewhere. That means you're improving. The Denver Broncos are no longer a bottom feeder club. They're in, I would say, the pretty good teams. Now, they've been bad for so long that the national media has essentially written them off and doesn't really know the roster and is sort of shocked at how good they are. I'm not saying they're super good yet, but they're getting there. And the only way, don't worry about what they say. Just keep winning games. This is the NFL. It's hard to win games. The Broncos have easily blown games like this in the past. They didn't Sunday, and they deserve credit for winning and moving forward. Currently, the Denver Broncos are actually, it's crazy to think about it, they're actually the 5th seed right now in the AFC. The playoffs started today at the midway point of the season. The Denver Broncos would head to play the 4 seed Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, a game in which they would be a dog. But it's been 8 years. It's been 8 years since the Broncos made the playoffs. So if with a young team, if you make the wild card, you get killed in the playoffs, that's part of the maturation process of a young team. I'm okay with it. So it made me think about, it's been a long 8 years. It's been a long 8 years since these two teams were literally playing at the pinnacle of the NFL. Broncos, Panthers, Super Bowl 50. I remember it very well. Panthers were amazing that year. They actually went 15-1. They were actually favored. The Broncos were underdogs in Vegas to win Super Bowl 50. And the Broncos have gone ahead and had some pretty disastrous numbers since Super Bowl 50 win. And we're going to dive into some of those right now. Since defeating the Carolina Panthers, we've been discussing today in Super Bowl 50 in February of 2016, Broncos have had some rough years. They're the only Super Bowl team to win the Super Bowl and then fail to qualify in the next 8 seasons to advance to the postseason. So, no playoff berths in 8 years. It's pretty close, I believe, to a Bronco record as well, but I'd have to do a little more research on that. They had some very bad clubs in the 1960s. Regardless, since 2016, I'm not including this season. The season has yet to conclude, but it's been a rough go for the Denver Broncos. They have averaged 6.625 wins in 8 years. They've averaged 9.8 losses. So basically, they're averaging 6-10 every year, including a couple of 5-12, 5-11 seasons. The numbers get a little skewed as the NFL has moved to 17 games. They have won more than they have lost exactly twice. Last year in 2023 under Sean Payton, and 9-8 the first year after Super Bowl 50, of which where the NFL's reigning defense at the time was still largely intact. So no playoff bursts. Their average rank finish in the division, 3.25. Basically, they've averaged finishing in 3rd place, mostly courtesy of the Raiders. The Raiders won the division. Broncos would probably be in 4th place most of the time. Their rank of offensive points averaged in the last 8 years is 25th in the league. Their average yards offense since the great Peyton Manning hung it up is 22.5, so pretty bad on the offensive side. Defense has been okay. They've had some good defensive years. The problem is this is a passing league. It's a scoring league. If your defense is okay, you have to produce on offense. Previous Bronco seasons have been derailed. There's been wide reporting on divisions within the locker room that the offense could not carry what the defense was giving them. In terms of rank of defensive points the last 8 years, Broncos have been pretty good. They're 8.3. So they're about the 8th best defense in the league because their defensive yards are 9th. So they're anywhere from 8 to 9. This year, by the way, sidebar, I said I wasn't going to talk about this year, but this year they're 3rd. They're 3rd in defensive points and defensive yards. Top 3. So it's also a little bit of a story of the draft. They got the 26th pick in that post-Super Bowl draft. They drafted Paxton Lynch, who I could do a whole podcast on. Not good. Garrett Bowles, who's been started out rough, but has been very good left tackle for a long time. Bradley Chubb, who's no longer on the team. Noah Fant, who's no longer on the team. Part of the Russell Wilson, excuse me, I don't know why I said Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson trade, Noah Fant, who I've met, nice guy. Jerry Jeudy, Patrick Surtain, good stuff there. Last year, they didn't have a first round pick that year. Seattle pick in the Russell Wilson trade. And last year, again, gave their 5th overall selection, a pick they sure could have used, to the Seattle Seahawks. But wait, it gets better. Carolina Panthers, since their 2016 loss. I had forgotten they actually had one more good year with Cam Newton, that is, in 2017, a couple years later. They went 11-5, lost to the Saints in the wild card, but they did have one playoff berth in the last 8 years. They've not had any since. They've been quite bad. They're not arguably the worst team in the NFL since, but they did have one more year with Cam Newton where they did go 11-5, make the playoffs. However, Carolina, last 8 seasons, has averaged 6 wins exactly and 10.3275 losses. So basically, they go 6-10 as well. So the Broncos and Panthers together have been 6-10 football teams since each playing each other in the Super Bowl. Carolina Panthers have there's one playoff berth between both teams in 8 years. They've averaged, they literally have averaged 3.25. They've averaged the exact same 3rd place in the division, which is kind of insane if you think about it. Their offensive point ranks in the last 8 years is 20th. It's actually better than the Broncos. Just nuts. Their defense ranking is 22.375. They're literally the same team on defense. Their average offensive yards are exactly the same. Defensive rankings are a little different. Broncos are 8th. Carolina's average is 27. Despite their overwhelming win against the bottom feeder Carolina Panthers, the Denver Broncos, we're going to find out exactly where they stand in the upper echelon of the NFL as they head to Baltimore to play the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, early start, East Coast time. They then follow that up with the now undefeated 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, who are stringing things along, but they're still the Chiefs. They are the team to beat, not only in the AFC West, but in the entire league. So Broncos have their work cut out for them. I look forward to the challenge. I think this team is ready to take the next step. I would never predict that they would win. Good Bronco teams have not won in Baltimore. We're going to find out a lot more about this team in the next few weeks. Once again, my name is Andrew Sharp, Sharp Sports 82 YouTube podcast. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate the support, and we'll be back again talking after a Broncos win-loss, who knows, against Baltimore. Thanks for tuning in.